Have you ever accidentally become the tour guide for a historic home you were just visiting? I was killing time before a job interview, so I ducked into the old Whitmore mansion downtown. The place was built in 1847 and supposedly has 17 secret passages, though I only knew that from the plaque outside. I'm wandering through the parlor when this group of tourists floods in behind me. An older gentleman taps my shoulder and says, "Excuse me, miss, are you our 2 o'clock tour guide?" I'm wearing a black blazer for my interview, and I guess I looked official enough. I start to say no, but then I see their excited faces. There's a couple on their anniversary, some history students taking notes, and a little girl clutching a disposable camera. The real guide must be late, so I clear my throat and say, "Welcome to the historic Whitmore mansion." What followed was 45 minutes of complete improvisation. I started making up stories about the furniture. This chandelier was imported from France, but the ship got attacked by pirates, so only half of it made it here. That's why it looks lopsided. Nobody questioned it. They started taking pictures. The anniversary couple asked about the romance of the original owners. I spun this elaborate tale about secret love letters hidden in the walls and a forbidden romance with the stable boy. The woman actually teared up. "That's beautiful," she whispered. The history students were scribbling frantically in their notebooks. In the dining room, I noticed a portrait of some stern-looking man. "That's Colonel Whitmore," I announced confidently. "He invented the process of aging cheese underground, which is why the basement smells weird." A man raised his hand. "I read he was a textile merchant." I nodded sagely. That was his cover story. The cheese operation was highly controversial. We moved to the kitchen, where I had to explain why there were modern appliances. The Whitmores were ahead of their time, I said. They predicted electricity would be invented, so they left spaces for outlets. Visionaries. The little girl asked if the house was haunted. I told her about the ghost of Mrs. Whitmore's cat, Professor Whiskers, who still roams the halls judging everyone's fashion choices. She took about 30 pictures trying to capture him. When we reached the master bedroom, I noticed water damage on the ceiling. "That's from the Great Champagne Explosion of 1888, I explained. "They stored bottles in the attic, and summer heat caused a magnificent disaster." The party lasted 3 days. Everyone was mesmerized. The couple asked if they could recreate their wedding photos in front of the fireplace, where so much history happened. While they posed, the actual tour guide finally showed up, looking frazzled and apologetic. The tourists looked between us, confused. "Who are you?" someone asked her. Before she could answer, I jumped in. "That's my assistant, Sandra. She's in training." I pulled her aside and whispered, "Just go with it. They're having a wonderful time." She stared at me like I was insane, but then the anniversary couple handed her their camera to take more photos. By the time we wrapped up, I'd convinced them that the Whitmores invented popcorn, that the garden was designed to spell out a secret message visible only from hot air balloons, and that the mansion was the inspiration for the game Monopoly. They gave me $40 in tips. The real guide pulled me aside after. "None of that was true," she said. "The Whitmores were boring textile merchants who died of consumption." I shrugged. "But look how happy they are." She watched the tourists excitedly discussing their experience. The little girl was showing her parents all her ghost photos. The history students were planning to write papers about the cheese innovation. The couple was already posting on Instagram about the romantic history. The guide sighed, then smiled. "What's your name?" When I told her, she offered me a job on the spot. "We need someone for weekends. The actual history puts people to sleep. I've been giving tours there for 6 months now. I stick closer to the truth, but I always include Professor Whiskers and the champagne explosion. Those parts are too popular to cut." Last week, a historian contacted the mansion about my cheese invention story. Turns out, the real Whitmores actually did experiment with underground food storage. Sometimes fiction accidentally stumbles into fact. My job interview that day, I was 20 minutes late and didn't get it, but I make more giving tours now than that office job would have paid, and I actually enjoy going to work.